Hi. Well, we'll see what happens here. Hello to anyone who's watching. I don't know what happens with this stuff, so. I think you can leave comments and shit. This is just the side of my head. Do we have any questions yet? We don't. Mm-mm. 9 people watching. They're all just watching. And nobody's saying anything. This is weird and creepy. We have a question from Noel. Who is or who are your favorite football commentator, co-commentator, and pundit? It's a good question. I'm not sure I have any favorite ones. Like, the least worst is probably Martin Tyler. Yeah. 19 people watching on YouTube now. Hello to any of you. 23. This is a lot less dynamic than I thought it was going to be. I don't know what I was really expecting, though. So. Hello, Andrew. Hello, GM. Look at all this. Hello, guys. Okay, so are you guys just leaving comments on the YouTube? I'm trying to figure out how all this works, you see? Because maybe I see no comments. So how are you guys actually leaving the comments and the reactions that I'm seeing here? Where are they coming from? Hello, William Nyberg. Hello to you. Where do they come from? Patrick, with Kroenke now 100% owner of the club, do you think there'll be some Arsenal fans wanting to create an FC Manchester United type of club? Yes, quite possibly. It depends what he does, though. We'll have to wait and see whether he invests a lot of money. Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to happen. There's a chat function. Oh, in YouTube, of course. I'm such a dope. There it is, on the right-hand side. Michael Vignello, what kind of headphones do you use? They are, I think they're Bayer Dynamic headphones. I don't know what model. DT770. So occasionally there is a good thing that's called DT. When will Emery change his Twitter profile? You literally search for the first ill-fitting stock image. Not very slick. Yeah, he could do with a better picture. Maybe he should get poorly drawn Arsenal to draw him one of his own. Mike Willis, do you believe in ghosts? No, but I think I saw one once, so I don't know how to reconcile those two things. So I don't really. I'm very skeptical about things like that, but I remember when I lived in Barcelona, I was very clearly saw somebody in my sitting room who wasn't there when I looked again. So what can I tell you? After the Elvis debacle, this is Transistor Bassman. After the Elvis debacle a few years ago, do you think that the team should run out to Heroes by David Bowie? Yeah, why not? I'm all for more David Bowie. I think that would be good. What else have we got here? Paul Kenny wants to know, creamy pint of Guinness or Kinnegar IPA? You can only have one as your last ever beverage. Which one and why? Kinnegar, Scraggy Bay. I've had lots of Guinness in my time. Guinness can be hit and miss. The thing about the Scraggy Bay and the Kinnegar beers is that there's consistency. So if I was absolutely dying for a good pint and I didn't want to take the risk that it could be terrible, then yeah, I go for Kinnegar. Boom, boom, boom. Wow, there's loads of comments here. I'm going to have to go through them. Hey, Conleth, how are you? That's my neighbour up the road. Hello, Con. What's your favourite swear word or phrase? Wank blistering cunt bucket, I think. I don't know. I just made that up. But anything with a bit of creativity I like. Why do you think refs hate Lacazette? I've never seen a player get fouls called. That's a good question. He seems to be punished very severely, doesn't he, Lacazette? Very severely. So, yeah, I know I'm sort of hidden behind the mic on the thing, so I just every so often I'm going to say hello. He does get a bit penalised. Maybe he just needs to foul more often so refs get used to it. Okay. Scarnani14, not Arsenal related, but I noticed you were playing Spider-Man. What did I think of the game? I thought it was pretty cool. It got a bit samey after a while, though. A lot of swinging and, hitting people up in the air. I thought the end was a little bit disappointing in terms of the final boss fight, but what can you do? Liam Quigley, up the full Irish. Yes, Liam. Yes. Used to play football with Liam. He could hit a ball when he turned up every now and again when he wasn't injured. Josh D, how's it going, Andrew? Hi, Josh. How did you and James from Gunnerblog first meet? I don't know how, but it was through the website, obviously. He was an Arseblog reader, and then he set up Gunnerblog, and we just met at one of the Arseblog functions. John Sailor, have you ever wagered on an Arsenal match? Are you at liberty to say how much or whether you won or lost? I haven't. I don't bet on Arsenal. Peter Cook, the comedian who's dead, who was a very famous Spurs fan, unfortunately, but he used to bet against Spurs every week, apparently. So if Spurs won, he was happy. And if Spurs lost, he at least had some financial benefit for it. Henry Wallen, this is eerie but really cool. It is a bit weird and eerie. How are you getting through this interval? Lots of dog walking. Lots of dog walking. Dr. Aim. Would Mustafi be a better DM than defender? And what qualities make him suited to the DM position? No qualities. Did you see this? Did people see this? Will this work? Look at that. This is cool, is it? This is like broadcasting and shit. But look at this. This was on the official website. Mustafi, the detail behind our defensive plans. Man, I had to stop myself writing about that this morning and on Arseblog News. So, yeah. I don't think you would make a DM, though, unfortunately. Hello from South Africa, Ricky Garike. No question, though, maybe later. Hello to you in South Africa. We have one here from the Czech Republic. Do you like Czech beer? Yeah. Is Staropramen, is that Czech beer? I quite like that. Some of the Pilsners are good, aren't they? When is James going to get a decent mic? He does have a decent mic. He's got a quite top-of-the-range USB microphone. It's a Rode USB microphone, but the issue with James is location a bit at the moment because he's sort of between houses, if you like. So that's a thing for him to deal with. I think he's just got to get a nice quiet room again, and then the mic will sound fine. Steve, has the council finished destroying your road yet? No, they're still out there. Michael Carroll, the Smiths or the Cure? Musically, I would go for the Smiths over the Cure, but in terms of, the lead singer not being a hateful, racist wanker, you'd have to go with Robert Smith. And those things are a bit more important these days, or they're more important than they ever were. Samir Hussein, do you watch any other sports? Which sport do you wish you were more of a fan of? I tell you what sport I used to watch a lot more stuff like golf. I used to watch tennis. There was a time when sport was on the TV, you would just watch it because sport was so rarely on the TV. So you go for that. What sport do I wish I was more of a fan of? Basketball. I really wish I was into basketball. I've tried hard, and I know how exciting it is and how skillful it is, but for whatever reason, I just can't get into it. And there's so much scoring in it, and there's so much action and 3-pointers. I just can't do it. Can you let James out of that cupboard behind you? He's not in there. Look, he's not in there. There's just a load of cables and old equipment and all that kind of stuff. Tim Merrick, I miss David Bowie every single day. Will things ever be the same again? No, they won't. And I think you can put the start of everything going to shit right back to when David Bowie died. So that's pretty unfortunate that one guy's death could have that kind of an impact. Are there any other teams in the Premier League that you would say you had a soft spot for? When Hull City in the Premier League? I don't think they are they? Not anymore. When they were in the Premier League, I used to be have a little bit of a soft spot for them when they were outside the Premier League because I lived outside Hull. The very first football match I ever went to was Hull City against somebody in the old 4th division, and there were so few people there that the goalkeeper, when he was swearing at his defenders, I think it was a Welsh guy called Tony Norman, and he would swear at his defenders like, get the fuck out. He was so loud, even though you're at the other end of the ground, you could hear him swearing. I don't think my dad really appreciated that because I was only about 7, but, learning how to swear is part and parcel of football, isn't it? So there you go. What's your favourite away ground in the Premier League, says Jad Dow. I don't have one. Who's your favourite drummer? Who is my favourite drummer? God, I don't know. Definitely not Phil Collins. Definitely not Phil Collins. In case that's where that question was trying to lead me. Do you ever play Ultimate Team on FIFA or just the regular modes? Just regular seasons. The Ultimate Team seems a bit complicated, and you have to get all these cards and all that kind of stuff. Where did you work before Arseblog took off? Where did I work? I worked for Aircom. I worked for in many nightclubs and bars, DJing. I worked for eBay. Where else? Teaching English. I worked for this company that made chatbots for IKEA. That was really boring. So what can you do with that? We've got loads of questions on the Patreon page as well, so I'll get to a few of those at the moment. Where does Mustafi appear on the Furyometer as compared to Sagan, Silvestre, and Stepanovs? Stepanovs is kind of irrelevant. Silvestre, I think it was a dark, dark day. A dark period in Arsenal's history. I don't know what Arsene Wenger was thinking there. Sagan, a better player than I think people give him credit for. Just in the team that he was in, he appeared worse than everybody else. I think that's what it is. What are the FIFA Ultimate Team and loot boxes? I've got no idea what they are. So, loot boxes, it sounds good, but it's probably not. So I don't know. Who's the next My Arse guest? I don't know. I'm still trying to organise that. We've got a few people that I'm trying to line up. As an Irishman, what are your thoughts on Conor McGregor? I find him very hard to take. Very hard to take. I find him a bit embarrassing, really. I know some people like that bravado and that kind of talk, and I know it's part and parcel of UFC, but it just doesn't do it for me, really. You know, I mean, he's made a lot of money, and fair play to him, and he's made a huge career, and you've got to admire that. But it's not for me. It's not for me. Are you happy with how the response has been to setting up Patreon for Arseblog? Says Matthew Miller. Yes, very, very happy indeed, and I thank every single one of you for being here and for supporting us, because it helps us do an awful lot more with the website than we were able to do before. So, yeah, it's amazing. And look, I'm always open to your suggestions and your ideas for stuff that you want to see. I think what we might do, maybe for Patreon members, is to do an Arsecast Extra live. We'll stream it live like this. So this is part of the reason why I'm testing this out, because you can put like James in a picture here, and whichever one of us is talking, he can be on the screen too, and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of why I'm testing this out. So part and parcel of doing all that, and all your support on Patreon is really helpful, and it's amazing. But as ever, if you need anything, or if you want anything, or if you want to suggest anything, you know my email. Everybody knows the email. It's on the website. You can get me on Twitter. Don't get me on Facebook, because I don't really look at Facebook messages or whatever. Alex Baldinger says, during the next interlude, please do an entire Arsecast Extra using the Assassin's Creed Odyssey voices, please, and thank you. I'm not sure about that. Actually, we had a comment on the Arsecast Extra, that episode on YouTube, and a guy told me that's actually Greek guys and girls doing the voices. I couldn't believe it. It was really terrible to know that they were Greek. Hey, blogs, have you got any more love shows? I think you mean live shows. Yeah, I think we'll do one in London pretty soon, and hopefully we're going to do one in Dublin as well. If I know they're sharing it, but if you could pick a designated vice captain, who would you give it to, given that Koscielny is the captain? That's a good question. If he were staying, I'd give it to Ramsey. If he were staying. I'm not sure that he is, especially given the contract thing, so I don't really know. Somebody who is, maybe Nacho Monreal? Nacho, Petr Cech is a good one as well, so there you go. What have been some of your favourite video games recently, says Randy Tabry. Well, Spider-Man's been good. I liked Horizon Zero Dawn. That was really good fun. I haven't got the new FIFA yet, and of course Rocket League. If you listen to the one with Danny O'Dwyer, then you'll know Rocket League is something that I really dig. Chris Jones, you ever consider taking the Arsecast live to other cities in the US other than New York? Would love for you to come to Chicago. Yes, I would love to. It's just trying to organize the logistics and the costs and the travel and everything else. But yes, it is something that we have discussed more than once, but it's a matter of really sitting down and making a plan and seeing if it's feasible to get over there and do a little bit of maybe a little bit of a tour, something like that. So we could go to New York, Chicago, LA, or we could go to New York, Austin, maybe somewhere like that, Chicago, and then LA or San Francisco to get in a few cities. Danny McMacken You don't really sound like your brother or super Irish, even a little American. Do you curate your radio voice? No, this is just kind of how I sound. But because I've been doing this for so long, I think it's natural. Weirdly, when I came back to Ireland from England at the age of 10, I had a very strong Yorkshire accent. So I think in order to lose that accent, my accent became more neutral than it became Irish, if that makes sense. Is the shirt behind you signed? Yes, it's signed. I can't move the camera because it's delicately perched on a thing, but that one there, it is signed. Robert Pires, Thierry Henry, who else? Fabregas, and some other terrible people. So, do I support a League of Ireland team? Not really, but St. Patrick's Athletic would be the one I'd go for. Did you invent the term interlull? Yes, I did, and it's in common use now, so that's good. Sorry, I'm going to have a little drink of beer because I'm talking a lot. Hey, Stephen Green, who would be your next captain? Captain for next season? Will it be Petr Cech or will he still be here? I need to see how this season plays out. I have a feeling it's going to be Xhaka, but whether I would give it to him, I don't know, but we have to wait and see. There's Nathan asking any more live shows. Can you give us another generic foreigner from Assassin's Creed accent? That was brilliant. No, I cannot do that because we are in the middle of something very important. Do you see Arsenal getting close to winning the league in the next few years? Good question. I wish I knew. Maybe. We're sort of doing a bit better than I expected we would be so far this season, but I think between now and mid-December we're going to get a real test. I think that's the first really testing period for Unai Emery, and we'll wait and see where we are. After that, when we play Liverpool, we play United, we play Spurs. Tom, have you ever considered streaming you playing video games, Assassin's Creed or whatever it is you're playing at the time? Yeah, I have. We did it with FIFA and stuff like that, so maybe I will do a little bit with Assassin's Creed. I like to make sure I'm not completely rubbish at a game, though, first, so maybe that's just me, being a bit safe. What do you feed your dogs? They eat chicken, raw chicken. And they eat raw mince and eggs and tins of fish and stuff like that. They're raw fed rather than dog food fed, if that makes sense. Or it makes any sense. Dara O'Brien. We're getting Dara O'Brien on my arse, says Steve again. Yeah, we could try get Dara. He's been on the podcast a few times. If you check the Arsecast archives, then you'll find a couple of podcasts, maybe 2 or 3 with Dara down the years, and they're always good fun. John Salyer, do we have a lack of Premier League villains right now? Mourinho, of course, but then who? Yeah, that is true. I wonder if Pep could become a villain in the end. He gets turned by his own self-worth or his own sense of how football should be played. He considers everybody else beneath him and, becomes a megalomaniac of some kind. And maybe with the Manchester City funding, he could be truly, truly evil. Klopp could be evil if he really wanted to be, couldn't he? That mouth that looks like it could detach and eat your head. But, maybe that's just me, perhaps. Tim Merrick, one of my favourite ever players was Paul Davis, but he never gets mentioned these days. Any memories? Not really for me because, I remember him being a really good player when I saw him, but it was before football was as ubiquitous. He obviously got that 9-match suspension, but I was listening to Alan Smith actually talking about what happened to Paul Davis, that he complained or he had a falling out with George Graham, and George Graham basically made him train with the reserves for a year or 18 months, didn't play him. And this was at a time when squads were much smaller than they are now. So Yeah, I don't know, shame. But, he came back in and played towards the end of his career and showed what a really good player he is. Will you ever bring back Culture Corner? Yeah, I'll try and think of some of those for the Arsecast. Are the rest of your family Arsenal fans? No, my brother is a Liverpool fan, and that's kind of it in terms of football. My dad sort of claims to be a Fulham fan because he lived in the UK for many, many years. I was born there, and he used to go to football regularly. Like, it was at a time where you could just go to the ground. So if Arsenal were playing at home, you could go there, or you could go to White Hart Lane, or you could go to Stamford Bridge, or you could go to Craven Cottage and just pay and go to a game. So he used to go quite regularly. His favourite story is that he was at the 1971 FA Cup final, the Charlie George final. So, I think he likes it when Arsenal win these days because he knows it's good for me. Who do you think is most underrated, underappreciated, invincible? I love me some Freddie. See, I love Edu. Always liked Edu. I thought he was a fantastic player. Loved really good left foot. Bit more. What's the word I'm looking for here? Every so often I look up and I see myself on the screen, and it's quite disconcerting because I'm not used to this. That's why I keep pausing. But I liked Edu. Steely, he was strong. He was really good left foot, could score some goals. So, yeah, that was my one. Freddie, I'm not sure, was underrated, didn't he? Because he had that song. That everybody loved Freddie. Okay, who have we got here? Sean Lee Goodwin. Hey, long-time listener. Just want to say thank you, sir, for all the content. Well, thank you for reading. And thank you for listening. And thank you for being here on Patreon. Spun Jarvis, how many Arsenal games do you actually get to attend each season? Maybe 3 or 4? I could go more often, I guess, but there's so much that goes on the website with each game. There's the preview, there's the blog, there's the live blog, there's the match report, there's the player ratings, there's all the post-match stuff. So in some ways, I'm not complaining about this in any way, just to be sure. I just want to make that very clear. I'm not complaining. In some ways, it's a bit restrictive in terms of going to games by having the site. But obviously, I appreciate how very lucky I am to do what I'm doing. So I'm okay with that. And hopefully we get a good away trip every year to Europe. Linda says, you're drinking beer. Does this mean we get a Mixler later too? It does not. It's a school night. I've got to be up early in the morning. I've got a young puppy to walk who needs a lot of walking at the moment, and she can't get off lead because she got a bit of an injury, so she has to stay on her lead. So just one beer while I'm up here, that's all. Weekend Mixlers, perhaps. Rani Tabry again. I'm going to my first game in November against Sporting, then Wolves. Any suggestions? Yes, suggestions. Go to where Highbury was and walk around from Highbury to the new stadium. Check out some of the pubs, Bank of Friendship, the Gunners is there, the Tollington is a great pub, and they'll make sure to look after you in there as well. There's a stadium tour if you can get on that. That's supposed to be great. I haven't done it, but so many people say it's really, really, really good. When you're at the games, get in early and watch the warm-up and see all the things that you don't see when you're watching games on telly. And other than that, have fun. Do you play Football Manager? No, I used to play Championship Manager, but I don't play Football Manager anymore. What's the angriest you've ever been at a live game, and have you ever regretted your actions and words? I don't tend to get angry, really, unless we do something. I was at that Spurs game. Remember we were 2-0 up? And then we lost 3-2. I think Yunus Kabul scored a game. I was quite angry at that, but I didn't do anything that I regretted other than sort of put my head in my hands. No. I haven't regretted. I've said some things in the sitting room that I wouldn't like anybody to hear if I'm watching a game. I think it's better that some people don't hear what it is that I hear, but or that I say. So that's it. Zaya Emmanuel, when are we going to play our tiebreaker on FIFA? Oh yeah, we must do that. We had some FIFA games actually a little while ago. What was it? 2-2? I think it ended 2-2. So we've got a tiebreaker to play in FIFA 18. I haven't got FIFA 19 yet, so maybe I'll have to do that before we go. Been linked heavy with Manuel Almiron from Atlanta United. Does that mean bye-bye to Ramsey? Robert, I don't think there's anything. I could be wrong, completely wrong here, but I'd be really surprised if we were signing a player from MLS. 20, what is he, 24? I think, something like that. What's his name? Manuel Almiron. Miguel. Okay, not Manuel. Sorry. How old is he? 24 years of age, from Paraguay. I don't think that he's a realistic transfer option for us. Be very, very, very surprised if we were signing a player of that age from that league. So I don't think it's got anything to do with Ramsey. Nzbaza. My dog doesn't like watching football. She feels like any shouting is directed at her, and you love her. Yes, of course. We all love our dogs. It makes you cheer quietly. Yeah. Archer gets a bit stressed out by football. If I'm a bit crotchety with football, he does get a bit like, oh, fuck, I'd rather go somewhere else. Niall Shannon. Could Sarri be considered a Premier League villain? Well, yes, by the simple virtue that he is the manager of Chelsea, which is, as we all know, an evil institution right to its very core. So, yeah, I think we could do that. I think we could consider him a villain. Plus, he smokes a lot, doesn't he? Most villains, Bond villains, etc., they smoke. He's like 60 a day or something like that. Have you been to the Philippines? I haven't. I've never been to the Philippines, John, but I would like to go one day. It's a part of the world I've never really been to. So, yeah, maybe one day, who knows? Say again, have you ever thought of doing a political podcast, not Arsenal-related podcast, on Arseblog, similar to Ken Early with Second Captains? No. I feel like, for me anyway, it would be. It's not that I wouldn't necessarily do that kind of a podcast or talk to people about those kind of things, but I think it's got to be separate from Arseblog, because for me, Arseblog is a kind of a haven from all the madness that's going on out there, and I think it is for people who read and listen and everything else as well. So it would be wrong, I think, to inject Arseblog with stuff that people are getting bombarded with every day. So there you go. If you got into a punch-up, who would you prefer to back you up in their prime? Adams, Vieira, or Kolasinac? I think Vieira. You know, in his prime when he was really young and really aggressive. You know, those long arms and long legs. I think that would be my take there. David Blackbeard. Funnily enough, I'm drinking beer too. Can we have a tipsy Arsecast? Yeah, a few people have asked myself and James do like a drunk history or something like that. So maybe we'll get around to doing that at some point. Mark Mertz, do you listen to any other Arsenal podcasts? I listen to the Arsenal Vision podcast, and that's about the only other one that I listen to, because the rest of my podcast listening is an escape from Arsenal, because so much of my day is taken up with Arsenal that I need to get away from it a bit. So that's what the other podcasts do for me. But there's loads of them out there, and loads of good ones as well. There's plenty for people to choose from, which is great. I think, you know, it's been one of the really interesting things about Arsenal Online in the last little while, is that there's been so many websites and so many blogs and so many podcasts that there's something for everyone there. So there's loads out there. Does watching the game... Okay. Does watching game on TV versus watching in person sway your opinion on player ratings? I think watching on TV can change your perception of a game. Like if the commentators are picking on a certain player, for example, I think that can colour your view of a game. Whereas if you watch without commentary, you can often come up with a different point of view or a different narrative than everyone else. So there you go. Favourite ideal match viewing experience at the stadium, at home, in the pub? Well, obviously the stadium, you know, just with friends, a few beers beforehand. I don't think there's any other way, or I don't think there's a better way to watch football than in the stadium with your mates, having had a couple of beers, knowing you're going for a couple of beers afterwards. So I'm not much for watching football in the pub, although I used to be. Derek Harvey, recent Patreon subscriber, second year officially having Arsenal as my team, Minnesota United fan. How should I handle the overload of Tottenham fans that are around every corner here in Minnesota? Why are there so many Tottenham fans in Minnesota? I guess you just have to remind them that they're perennial losers. They don't win anything, and their stadium is going to bankrupt them, and Harry Kane is going to leave, and probably Dele Alli will leave, and Pochettino will leave, and they'll be up to their eyes in debt, and they'll probably get bought by some kind of evil billionaire, which maybe might be a good thing for them, but I don't know. They just don't win anything, Derek. They never win anything, so that's where you go with that. Ragnar Rinharison. Rick Harrison. Sorry, Ragnar. Best player we've lost sold before he bloomed. Good question. I wonder, would Serge Gnabry be one of those? I also think we lost Fabregas right at the worst time when he was going through his development. But off the top of my head, I can't think of any others. Where to go wrong for Reyes? I remember him fondly too. I remember how excited I was when we sold him, or when we bought him rather. I just think it was a combination of things. I think he was he was a guy who needed to be closer to home than he was, and if he was away from home, I think he needed better people around him and more support. I don't think his family settled in England at all. I think that contributed to his homesickness. I don't think he had the easiest time with some of our top players who maybe felt a little bit threatened by him. The physical aspect of the game in England took its toll on him. I think we remember what happened with the Nevilles, which was quite disgraceful, really, to kick a guy like that. But also, maybe that you should take that as a compliment as well, that you're so good that they can only resort to kicking you and you just get up and get on with it. I think England was the wrong place for him. So there we go. Do you worry the success of the game around the world, big money machinations, will chip away the aura of Arsenal, what Wenger may have referred to as its spirit? Yes, we're now 100% owned by an American billionaire. We're part of a portfolio of sports franchises. 20 years ago, that would have been almost unthinkable, so it's happening. It's happening, unfortunately. There's not much we can do about it. Have you ever injured yourself when celebrating a goal? I broke my foot kicking a footrest in the front room. I remember hurting myself going over some seats, maybe in Villarreal, but nothing more than a few bruises, nothing crazy. Mike Snow, when Ramsey scored in the FA Cup final, I was so happy I threw my 12-year-old daughter who'd broken an arm in the air. Was your most questionable post-goal celebration? I don't think I've ever done anything like that. I just tend to hug random strangers. I feel like we should share a moment. We might never meet again, ever. Might never even see that person again. But in those moments, in those 10 or 20 seconds after a goal, you can just hug anyone. I think that's a great thing about football. Would you try and get Alan Davis on my arse? Yes, I will try. I will try, Rick. Working on another book. Not at the moment. I'm trying to think of the right idea. And I did enjoy working on the other two. So I will think of another one. But there's been a sort of proliferation of Arsenal books. There's 2 books about Arsene Wenger written in poetry, which I find really quite strange. But there you go. Have you tried getting to speak to Arsene Wenger post-retirement? No. I believe that he's kind of on the down low. There is an interview with him on the Arseblog News today where he says dogs are a great example to us all, so my esteem for that man is even higher. Tim Stillman talking about Arsenal ladies. Have you been to a game? Will you be going to a game soon? No, I haven't been to a game. I have no plans to go to a game, but I'm delighted that we can give more coverage to the women's team on Arseblog News. My trips to London tend to be sort of fleeting, so I go and I go to the men's games. So that's it. Arsenal Fan TV, yay or nay? Well, it's not really my thing, I have to say. I like Robbie a lot. I think Robbie's a good guy, and I get on well with Robbie. Met him when he was over here in Dublin. But the thing is not for me. It's, maybe it's generational. That YouTube is not my go-to place after a game. So I know some people like it, some people don't. There's a very easy option if you don't, and that's just not to watch. When can you have Clive from the Arsenal Vision podcast? Waiting ages for you and him to speak. It was devastating when you were on Arsenal Vision and he wasn't there. Just a thought, I'll get Clive on. Quite happy to get Clive on. He's been on the main pod. He's been on the Arsecast before. So it was a while ago, though. In fairness, it was a while ago. So I think he's overdue an episode. So I'll see if I can track him down. Maybe we'll see. We'll see how quickly I can make that happen. Have you already scheduled the drunk cast? No, we haven't. James is doing a lot of filming at the moment. So we're going to have to kick that one down the line a little bit here. Everyone is telling me Ramsey is our best player. Liverpool fans goading me that is coming. What are your thoughts on him going to a rival? Do I not have and Mr. O'Clair? I don't understand the last part of that, Johnny. I don't think he's our best player, but I think he's a really good player, Ramsey. I know some people don't like him, but I think he's a really good player. I think he can provide us with stuff that no other midfielder that we have at this moment in time can provide us. I wouldn't like to see him at Liverpool because I feel like Jurgen Klopp could get more out of him than maybe we have. So that would be my worry there. When you and James went through the top games to watch, how did you forget the 89 league winner? Well, I mean, we didn't. We just assumed the 89 documentary was already downloaded or it was on the plane's entertainment system. So that's it. Who is the most surprising celebrity that you know that listens to the podcast? Surprising, I don't know. I mean, I don't know everyone who listens. That's the thing. Who is surprising? I'm always quite surprised when people in the arts, like theater directors or actors and that kind of stuff, when they listen to the podcast. People you might consider about highbrow or something like that. But we'll try and get some of the celebrity guys on, like Mark Strong, of course, was on. John Ronson, the writer, he's a big podcast fan. He listens to the Arsecast, so that's a good one. You too, yes or no? Depends what yes is and what no is. Like yes to killing them, or no to not killing them, or yes, do I like them, or no? Not for me. Not for me. Find Bono a bit hard to take. Just a bit. Have you ever had an Arsenal shirt done with Arseblog on the back? No, I haven't. But I do have an Arsenal shirt with... Someone gave me one with blogs on the back and it's signed by Robert Pires. So I have that. I've never worn it. Just in case something happens to it. Did Vieira and Arsene have a falling out? Of all the ex-Arsenal players... He's the one I don't recall attending a match or popping up at Colney. I don't know that they had a falling out, but I think something happened. M. Al-Bakri. I think something did happen. So he went to Man City, didn't he, after he left? When he left Arsenal, wasn't allowed to go to Real Madrid, went to Juventus, and then went to Man City. I don't know if there was some resentment that he was never offered a gig with Arsenal, but I couldn't say for sure one way or the other. Danny says, I love that you helped with Una's Repeal podcast. Do you have more things like that in the works? I'm happy to do things like that if I think it's a worthy cause, to give my time to help make a positive change to society, and I think that was a positive change to Irish society. I do produce, if you're Irish, you probably know Eamon Dunphy, who's a pundit, a former player and a pundit, and I produce his podcast. So, but that's not out of philanthropy or anything like that. That's work. So yeah, so there you go. But look, we'll see what comes up. How long do you think it will be before Arsene comes to an Arsenal home game? I think it'll be a while yet. I think very sensibly and rightly he's staying away, Lee, simply because the minute he turns up, all the focus would be on him. And I think he's right just to give it a bit of space and a bit of distance and everything else. I don't think Unai Emery would be worried or would have a problem with it or anything like that, but I think it's the right thing just for the moment, just to give the new man some time to settle in. Nicholas Jordan, 2 questions. I'm greedy. How is your Patreon venture gone compared to your initial expectations? It's gone as well as I would have liked, and I hope to grow it even further, obviously, by doing more stuff like this. We'll do more content, a bit more video content, whatever people like. So it's gone really great. And again, thank you, everybody who signed up and who is a Patreon member and a subscriber. I love you. That's all I can say. I really do. And I'm not just saying that, I promise. Would you give up our invincible season for 10 years, similar to Chelsea's dominance? No, I wouldn't. It's a unique thing and an amazing thing, and something we can hold over every other team in the Premier League. Even if it is a little bit like living in the past, who gives a fuck? We did it and they didn't, so they can stick it. Have you ever given up any thought to your retirement? Yeah, I have. I think about retiring all the time. Like if I won the lottery tomorrow, I'd retire. I'd definitely retire. I'd probably still write Arseblog, but I'm not sure I consider writing Arseblog work anymore. But would I hand over the Arseblog name and website to someone else, kind of like Gorillas, or retire the name? I don't know. I think if I thought somebody could carry it on in the same tradition and keep up the same values, the values that Arseblog represents, sounding like Arsene Wenger talking about Arsenal here, maybe, but we'll see. But anyway, no plans yet. Phil Collins is coming to my country in February. How will I cope? Just leave the country, pack up your things, go buy a house somewhere else, sell everything, jump on a plane and go work in a bar somewhere warm where you can wear shorts all year round and fuck Phil Collins. So it's win-win. What do you make of Lacazette's comments about English supporters? Probably blown out of proportion a bit during the international break. I wouldn't worry about it too much. You know, the atmosphere in some grounds in France is good. In some grounds it's not. So I'm not, I wouldn't get stressed out by that kind of thing. Next time you come over I'd love to hear a live Arsecast with James straight after the game from a pub. Maybe. But, I think part of going to a game is the post-game fun with my mates. And, it's a little bit of an escape from work. So, I might just give that one a miss. Jez, Mug Smashers at home, EWA, you're fucking damn right. We will be in the Tollington and we'll be having some beers for sure for the Liverpool game. I'm actually coming with the Mug Smasher himself, who's come to, I think, maybe 2 or 3 Arsenal-Liverpool games at home. And we've won every single one of them, I think. So he's overdue a win. I'm a little bit worried about this. But do you think there's any chance of winning the league this year? Anything could happen, but I'm not sure we're strong enough to cope throughout the course of a season. We're doing well at the moment, but I just don't think the depth is there defensively. How's your voice holding out? How do you screen out the noise? Is someone screening for you? Thanks for everything you do. My voice is getting a little bit itchy, scratchy now. I don't know what you mean by screening out the noise, though. What's that? What's the noise screening bit? You can leave another comment there, and I'll see if I can get on top of that. I'm about to be a father. Literally in a day or so. Congratulations to you and your wife or partner or girlfriend. I've had my fingers burnt with names on shirts before, but if I was to name my son after a current first team player, who should it be and why? It's so dangerous, isn't it? Because they can be a hero 1 minute and an absolute villain the next. Hector, go on. Keep him going. You know he'll have a good fashion sense as well. Would you do voices here? The angriest man on Twitter, Arshavin. You know the thing about doing voices is your face looks funny when you do them. Because you have to pull faces to do voices. So I'm very self-conscious of it now. And I don't think my voice will stand up to Arshavin because I need a drink. Because Arshavin, he talk very much like this because he's got to have biscuit. See, my voice really isn't holding up. Angriest man on Twitter is very shouty. If I start doing shouting, the dogs will bark downstairs, so I'm not going to do that. Damien, looking on from Ireland on a scale of 1 to 10, how fucked is the UK? Oh, I find it very hard to watch, because I was born in England and, I just can't believe what's happening, really. Some of it is just mind-boggling, and I think in particular the complete ignorance of the situation regarding the Irish border and their willingness to potentially destroy 20 years of peace in Northern Ireland. I find it just very, 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 very difficult to take. I can't get my head around why anybody thinks it's a good idea. And I hope, I don't know. I don't know that anything's going to happen yet, but yeah, maybe. Let's keep fingers crossed that, somehow there's a miracle that prevents all the damaging things that I think Brexit will bring about from coming about. Not least football. Think about football. All of a sudden you want to sign a player from Europe. Well, it's going to be a lot more difficult now, isn't it? If the UK is not in Europe. There are factors that are going to adversely affect even football. Forget about flights and food and medicine and jobs, all those trivialities. But football, the one thing that we can use as an escape, could very well be significantly damaged by it. So we'll see. How much better would Forrest Gump be if you swapped Nicolas Cage for Tom Hanks? I don't know that it would be any better, but maybe it'd be a bit more entertaining. Just the idea of Nicolas Cage running forever and ever is very amusing. Would you ever do a live Arsecast show in Ireland? Yes, we're going to do one in Dublin. We've been trying to do one, and we had one planned, and then it fell through, unfortunately. But we will get it. We will get it sorted. Screening out weird questions. I'm just going through all the questions. They're all weird, to a certain extent. After awful results the last couple of years, you could hear the weariness in yours and James' voice on a couple. Have you ever got close to saying, fuck it, I quit? No, absolutely not. No way. That's part of being a football fan. Ups and downs. It's going to go well sometimes and it's going to be shit other times. So, no. I mean, it did get a bit trying, and it was kind of hard sometimes to say the same things over and over again when we were seeing the same mistakes. But no, I love what I do, and I love doing it, and I love that people like what we do and really appreciate it. And, you can't just, what's the word I'm looking for? You can't just ditch in the bad times, because then you don't get to enjoy the good times as much. I don't think, anyway. Rick, speaking of faces, the bottom half of your face reminds me of Hugh Laurie. He says, compliment. Thanks, I think. I'm sure we have some Americans watching. Hugh Laurie's accent for House, when he was Dr. House, That was really good. I liked the way he just never spoke above a certain pitch. So it was always, to do his American accent, he was always like, I think your leg is broken. That was really bad, but you know what I mean? He never spoke above a certain pitch. Dr. House. I support two sports teams, Arsenal and the Pakistan cricket team. Pakistan is Arsenal. Okay. I like cricket, actually, even though I'm Irish. So there you go. It's dark in Dublin, but if you could look out, see out the window, what's the view? I'm going to look out the window here. Just some houses at the back of me with the lights on. Favourite Arsenal song to sing in the ground? Well, 1-0 to the Arsenal is always good because that means it's 1-0 to the Arsenal, and that's a good start to a game or a good finish to a game as well. So that's a good one. Or singing songs about Mourinho being a cunt. That's rare. I don't get to do that very often. The top of my face looks like Stephen Fry. That is some mix, Tim. Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry. I'm not sure I'm feeling very complimented here. I miss Arsene Wenger Hawkins. Can you pull together a greatest hits? There's one that mentions saber-toothed tigers I'd love to hear again. Shawnee boy. I don't remember the stuff I do on the podcast, the little skits and stuff, and people will say, do you remember you did that one with that? No, I don't remember, but there you go. I'll see if I can dig that out somewhere. The best American accent you can do, I can't really. I find it a struggle. It just sounds weirdly generic and not very good. Like, hi, I'm Stan Cranky. It's just not very good at all. Maybe I should practice a bit more, but I'm not sure. Michael wants to know your favorite TV show of all time and your favorite TV show today. All time, you've got to toss it up between The Sopranos and The Wire. And I think just for me, The Sopranos takes it. It's like out of 10, Sopranos is 9.9 and The Wire is 9.89. So, what's my favorite TV show today? That's a good question. I'm trying to remember what I've been watching. Watching this thing on Netflix at the moment called The Haunting of Hill House, which is quite spooky and scary and what have you. And like I've said, I forget. I watched something recently and I binge-watched the shit out of it. And I can't remember what it is because it finished a few days ago. So maybe there was 3 series of it. I can't remember. I'm sorry. Balls. No, I can't remember. It'll come back to me, though, as soon as this broadcast is over. Do you have a favorite Spanish wine? I like a good Ribera del Duero. Ribera del Duero. I think that's what it is. I like that. That's a good one. Everyone likes a good Rioja as well. What's your favorite film? I don't know. I try and think about this as a film. Like, if it came on, could I just sit down and watch it without turning it off and be entertained? So maybe something like Goodfellas. That's for me stands up to repeated viewings. A lot of films I'll just watch and I like it and then it's gone and then yeah. See, that's terrible. I have to think about these answers and I've got no time to think. A while back you recommended The Lobster and I watched it with my wife. She didn't like it. Can you provide another recommendation? No. Not at the moment. I'd have to go back and look at what I've downloaded and what I've watched in recent times, and I can't remember any of those things. So, no. Sorry about that. Do you have any upcoming live shows outside the usual destinations, UK? When are you coming to continental Europe, the non-English speaking countries? See, I don't know that we would be able to get the audience, the right amount of audience, if we went to non-English speaking countries. And I know there are a lot of English speakers in the non-English speaking countries, but I just wonder, I don't know that we get the right amount of people. there. I know we've had some offers to go to Belgium and also to Sweden, so maybe something like that, but I don't know. No plans as yet. It's just logistics and trying to do the travel and get away from work and James's work and everything else. So with everything in flux as Ivan is leaving and Raul and Vinay taking over, have you forgotten how important Mislintat is and how profoundly he could affect the makeup of the team? Yeah, he is really important. He's the head of recruitment. He's the guy who's going to be identifying the players that we need in the positions that Unai Emery, I assume, is going to tell him we need. Emery said we need a left back. It's his job to go out and get a left back. So yeah, he is important. Coming up to a year in the job now, what mark would you give him? Like 6 out of 10? You know, you don't need to be Mislintat to sign Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan. I know he didn't sign Lacazette. I was going to say Lacazette. Guendouzi could be good. We have to wait and see. Torreira looks good. Maybe I'm harsh. Maybe a 7 out of 10. Maybe a 7 out of 10. But yeah, jury's still a little bit out for me on what he's doing. What do you think of the Man Who series that Gunnerblog is doing? I watch the stuff that James does, and I just I'm sort of in awe of where his brain is or how it works, because it doesn't work the same way as mine in any way. So I find them amusing. But just because maybe I know James, I'm not saying, James, that they're not amusing on their own merits. Maybe, no, I've got that wrong. I like them. That's what I should say. Where do you put Maitland-Niles in the pecking order when he comes back? Europa League squad, Carabao Cup squad, get in there, play games, battle hard, work hard, and see if you can make your way into the first team. That's the way I think it should go for Maitland-Niles. Thanks for all you do. It's afternoon. Looking forward to more stuff. Oh, you got to get back to work. Well done for taking time off work, John. You know, you got to prioritize and what have you. You've clearly never seen El Dorado. I have seen El Dorado. And by that, The Sopranos should get 99.999. What do you think is the future of the internet? There's a good question. I would hope, I'm not sure what way it's going to go from a technological point of view, but I hope the way people think about the internet changes. I hope there's a bit more critical thinking. I hope people don't just, you know, as they have done, this thing is on my Facebook timeline, therefore it's true. Like, fact check and things like that. Look at what's being said. Is it real? Is it true? What are the motives behind somebody saying this? Why are they saying it? What are they trying to get me to believe? I think that's what I hope the future is. My worry is that we're too far down a road to turn back in many ways for many people. But I hope, you know, one of the great things about the internet is the fact that we can sit here and we can talk and we can do things like this and build a community of people who enjoy Arsenal, who love one thing and can all come together under that umbrella and be friends even though we've never met. You know what I mean? I think that's the way we're going to go. Wind that shakes the barley or the snapper? Neither, please. I haven't seen either. I find Roddy Doyle hard to take as well. Wind that shakes the barley, I haven't seen. Why did you pick 738 as a name for that podcast series? My favorite radio station back in the day was a radio station called Radio Nova, and their frequency was 738 AM. So that's why the podcast name. So there you go. On today's .com photo, I know the players all wear white socks and no shin guards. So white socks, yes or no? Shin guards, training, yes or no? I used to always wear shin guards and now I don't. I think in training probably I could do without them. I do wonder why they're not mandatory for players, though, in training. Have you seen the shin guards these days, though? They're so tiny. When I started playing football, there were these gigantic cardboard things that would wrap around your leg. So, yeah, I don't know. I worry from an insurance point of view. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to have to call it quits now in a second because I think the battery on the camera is going. Picture on the camera is quite good, isn't it? I quite like it. You can see stuff here. What is that doing there? What's that? Oh, that's your avatar, Shawnee boy. Sorry. An Arsenal band, Rositsky on guitar, Czech on drums. Who plays bass? Who plays bass? Santi Cazorla. I'd like Santi Cazorla with a big double bass. Keyboards. Charlie Nicholas. He wouldn't have a keyboard though. He'd have one of those guitar keyboards. And who sings? That's a good one. Who sings? Who would be a good singer? I don't know if any of them are good singers. Footballers tend to be terrible singers, don't they? For the most part. I think Aubameyang could be a good frontman. One final. Have I ever been to London Colony? Yes. I went on a tour of the medical place a couple of years ago, which was very interesting. So that's it. Shout out to Lana, says Ali Tariq. Thanks very much. Lana was the picture on today's... there she is. Look at that. She was the picture on today's post with Arsene Wenger. So there's the puppy. The mad, fucking insane puppy. So there you go. Anyway, look, I'm going to leave it there, folks. Thanks very much indeed for being here. We will do more of this. I think this was a bit of a test. We're going to do more of this with James. Hopefully we can stream a live Arscast Extra so you guys can watch it as we record it. That'd be quite cool. So for now, though, thanks a million. Thanks as ever for being a Patreon member with us here on Arseblog. And I'll catch you on the next one. We've got a long read from Tim Stillman coming up for Patreon members tomorrow. That'll be on the site tomorrow. And there'll be more stuff going on during the month as well. Thanks a million. I'm going to go get another beer. And we'll catch you soon. Good night, everyone.